My ex-girlfriend and I have a tween daughter. I wasn't ready to be a parent when she got pregnant, so I suggested either she ends it or she can keep the baby and I would pay child support, but I won't be involved in her life. She wanted to keep it, so that's what we did. About a year ago, I started to regret my choice and decided to contact my ex and ask to see my daughter. It went really well. She's just the sweetest kid. I started by visiting sometimes, but she wanted to see me more, so her mom agreed to let her. We slowly made it more, and now I have her every other week. The rules in my house and in her mom's house are different, and it's made her act up a bit when she's with her mom. For example, her mom expects her to do her homework before she does anything else, and I expect her to have all her homework done by the time we want to sleep. I don't care when she does it as long as it's done. So now my ex is calling me an idiot and saying I'm making things harder for her and I need to follow her rules. But I think she, the mom, is just jealous that my daughter loves me more. You are the idiot. You don't get to abandon the kid for that many years, then swan in and be the fun dad to the detriment of your ex. She spent almost a decade raising your daughter on her own because you weren't ready, but now you think you're equal as parents? How do you think that sweet kid you met became so sweet? Do you think it might have something to do with the way her mother raised her and the rules she set? You coming back into her life should make things better, not worse. Yeah, someone's parents didn't make him follow the rules, and it shows. You've been a parent for 5 minutes. She did all the hard work, pal, so you need to have some respect for her. You gotta follow her rules, at least for a while, until the kid is old enough to figure out why the rules are different. Mom will always be the primary parent here. You made that choice for her. I think she, the mom, is just jealous that daughter loves me more. OMG, seriously? Screw this guy. The audacity of men like him sometimes grinds my gears. I bet there's a lot more he's leaving out too. I feel for the mother, left to raise a kid by herself, only for it to be ruined further down the line because of her soft heart and because she wants her daughter to have a relationship with her dad. OP is the example of it's easy to become a father, but not everyone can be a father. Can't fix this crap. This is a human tragedy right here. Disagree. OP's not the idiot. Mom had her for most of her life, but now they're co-parents. It's reasonable and common to have different rules in each parent's house. Everyone's so focused on the fact that he wasn't in his daughter's life. People are not considering how ridiculous it is to demand that the father have the same rules in his house as the mom. You know, if the roles were reversed, this wouldn't be a question. He's not letting the daughter skip homework, just letting her be more in control of when she does it. He's not doing anything unreasonable. OP, you are just as entitled as her mother to add input. I'm male 18, am a senior in high school, and this creepy girl 18 has been following me around for the past few months. I've caught her recording me multiple times, and one of my friends showed me this invasive Tumblr page she made out of edited pictures of her and me as a couple. I've tried confronting her and telling her to stop following me around, but she always scampers off when I start talking to her and telling her off. I had to block her on various social media after she sent me some detailed DMs about her fantasies of me. I've tried reporting her to my dean with her DMs, but he's completely useless, and my parents don't care at all about how she's creeping me out. They think I should be flattered. A few weeks ago, she came up to me with this small box of cupcakes during lunch. Now, I know she ditched class to come stalk me and find out which cafeteria space I was sitting in for lunch, because my friends had physics class with her during my lunch period. I was furious that she was approaching me again, so I told her I didn't want her gift and to leave me alone. She mumbled sorry, but tried to force the box into my hands or lap. I finally stopped resisting, and as soon as she backed off, I said, "Jesus, you creepy witch." I took the cupcake box to the nearest garbage can and shook it empty into the bin and chucked the box in too. She started crying and ran off, and my friends were half laughing at the situation and half calling me savage and heartless. However, one of my friends texted me later, and she said my reaction was extremely cruel and uncalled for. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She's legally an adult, as are you. File a police report and get a restraining order. Don't accept any gifts from her. Report her to all your social media and file a formal complaint with your school's Board of Education. You should keep and file any text messages from her, as well as screenshots of her Tumblr pages. These can be used as evidence to establish a behavior pattern of unwanted contact. Yeah, who knows what might have been in those cupcakes? Take it to the cops and file charges. You're both adults and don't have to rely on your parents. What she's doing is illegal in most states and is called stalking. Take that seriously. And I feel like the response you're getting from adults in your life is straight up misogynistic. If the gender roles were reversed, 100% their responses would be different. Trashing the cupcakes was done out of your frustration and anger, not cruelty or a deliberate desire to be mean. People react badly to anger. They treat it as a negative emotion you should not feel, which is very wrong. Your anger is your way of telling yourself that things are getting hurtful and frightening to you, and that the way you're being treated is not right. And the way you're being treated by everyone involved in this is not right, from the girl to your parents, friends, and teachers. I urge you to sit your parents down and make them listen to you, because this girl's behavior is not a joke. Ask your parents what they think she'll do when she gets to the point she's driving by your house multiple times a day. I bet she already is. Or when she breaks into your home in the middle of the night and tries to climb into bed with you. At what point will they take her behavior and your feelings about it seriously and start acting like real parents who protect their kids? Take this seriously, because this girl's behavior is way outside of normal parameters, and you just don't know what people can be capable of. You've now humiliated her in public. Who knows what she'll do next? My 31 male son is kindergarten age. About a year ago, my brother, 34, reassured my son that he could be the ring bearer at his wedding. This conversation occurred after my son heard my husband and me talking about our wedding and was very offended that he wasn't invited, even though he wasn't born for another 3 years after the event. My son really latched on to this comment. Now, all these months later, my brother has proposed and is planning a wedding with his fiancée. When I told my son that his uncle was getting married, he was obviously overjoyed and immediately bragged to his younger brother that he was going to be the ring bearer. I heard the proposal news from my mom, and when I called to congratulate my brother, I also told him how excited our oldest was. My brother told me that his fiancée is pretty adamant about a child-free wedding, so his promise might not be possible anymore. This was obviously very hard for me to hear. Not only would this break my son's heart, but this would also make my and my husband's lives considerably harder. We currently live abroad and didn't expect to have to find childcare for this wedding. Our only options now would be fly with our children and leave them in the care of people we don't fully trust, since all trusted family members will be attending the ceremony, or leave both children with a trusted friend near our home and fly to the wedding. Not ideal, since thanks to the flexible work schedules, we were planning to spend a month with our families following the wedding. Flying in for the celebration, flying home to pick up our children, and then flying back is too exhausting. Them flying alone obviously isn't an option. Or not attend. My brother said he'd try to get his fiancée to reconsider, but we spoke 2 nights ago, and he said she's putting her foot down. Admittedly, I was hurt over this on my son's behalf. I told him we would still try to make it, but it was unlikely we could. I also told him that if he even wanted us to consider coming, he would have to tell his nephew himself that he was going back on his promise and why. My brother said it felt like I was issuing him an ultimatum and making him choose between his family and his wife on what's supposed to be the happiest day of his life, and that I was being unfair. I said he shouldn't have made promises he couldn't keep. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You summed it up beautifully. Your brother made a promise that got your child all hyped up, and now he wants someone else to deal with the emotional fallout when he reneges because it would be inconvenient for him to deal with it himself. That's an idiot move right there. It doesn't sound like the brother wanted the wedding to be child-free. It comes from the future wife demanding it as such. I can't call the brother an idiot over this either. His wife is raising a few red flags on this. Having to explain why he couldn't keep a promise isn't an ultimatum either. I fear he might become one of those guys who sacrifices their happiness for his wife's, no matter the cost. Honestly, if I were you, I'd skip their wedding. You and your husband can have a vow renewal ceremony instead, with 2 ring bearers. Do something cute and invite close friends and family. Excuse yourself from your brother's wedding and explain the situation to your family. I agree. If you have a child-free wedding, then you have to accept people may not be able to attend. While I've seen worse reactions, OP's brother did not accept it gracefully. He should have said, "I'm sorry, I hope you can come, but I understand if you can't," instead of complaining about an ultimatum. You are the idiot. It's cute about your son dreaming of being a ring bearer before he was even conceived and calling it bear instead of bearer. All cute. It sounds like your brother hadn't proposed at the time, didn't have a fiance or a wedding at the time, and made a comment offhand in response to hearing your son say he wanted to have been the ring bearer at his parents' wedding. It's fine for your child to be disappointed, but in this situation, I don't think threatening or guilting your brother is a good idea. Part of growing up and getting bigger is handling disappointment. I think you should manage yours and then work on helping your son manage his. Something about the tone of your post also makes me wonder if it's possible that in fact this is a bigger deal to you than it is to your son. My mom has a daughter, Amy, 27, with a man called Brian. He left her while she was pregnant but stayed in Amy's life. When my mom met my dad 4 years later, Brian started causing trouble and turned Amy against my dad and later against my younger sister and me. Amy was not kind to us over the years. Mom and Brian were in and out of court fighting over what he was doing. Mom had Amy in therapy to get her behavior to improve, but nothing helped. My mom's side of the family all struggled with having Amy around. She was always going out of her way to crap on my dad or to be mean to my little sister and me. A few times she called us names in front of our cousins that my aunts and uncles hated them hearing and were worried they would mimic, especially the little ones. One time at one cousin's birthday party, Dad was in charge of taking photos, and she started yelling out that he stank, that he was ugly, weak, pathetic, etc. Mom would always step in and pull her away, and honestly, it only bothered Amy when Mom was visibly mad. Sometimes Mom would try to compose herself and just be cool and collected with her, but Amy wanted Mom not to be mad at her, and she wanted them to be close. She just didn't want the rest of us. It was a relief when Amy decided to stay with Brian. I remember a few things about him from when Amy was still coming around. Mom and Brian had 50-50 custody. He was always such an idiot. Mom's family did try to keep including Amy and be there for her, but last weekend they hosted a family reunion to get together with relatives they hadn't seen in forever, and some of us still needed to meet, and Amy wasn't invited. My grandparents said that they'd had enough, and my aunts and uncles agreed. After the party, Mom asked them if it was really so much better without Amy around, and they said yes. Mom then noticed that I had been much happier at the party and even showed up early to help out. We talked and I admitted to her that I was glad that Amy hadn't been there. I told her it was the first party I could remember where she didn't make it awful. Mom was so upset, like she actually started to cry, and she admitted that she knew it wasn't easy for the rest of us, and she was sorry, and she just wanted everyone to get along, or at least for Amy to have grown out of the crap that Brian had told her. So we hugged it out and everything. But then Mom called a few days ago and told me she needed me to keep thoughts like that to myself. She said it hurt her a lot, and it was insensitive to say it to her because Amy is still her daughter, even if she is behaving badly. I told her I understood and that maybe we should just not speak about this stuff in the future. Mom got mad and told me not to say I was glad her oldest child wasn't around. Now I feel terrible. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. While it's true that Amy is her daughter, what you said doesn't sound bad, especially after your mom noticed how much happier you are without her there. But family is not a good reason to subject people to someone like Amy, And it's good if your mom realizes she should spend time with Amy one-on-one. She literally asked you for that answer. What were you supposed to do? Lie? What's that gonna fix? If mom can't handle this one comment, shouldn't that make her understand even more how badly her child, you, felt all this time? Your mom needs to wake up. Amy's 27. She bears full responsibility for her actions and behavior. If she's not invited, that's her own fault at this point. Your mother needs to realize this and treat Amy like an adult herself. You did nothing wrong, OP. She knew you spoke the truth. She can see it from how you guys react and how extended family reacted. She's only acting out because you said it out loud. If she continues to inflict Amy on you, continue speaking out. She needs to understand what she did. There's a difference between Amy has been a monster versus she allowed Amy to be a monster toward a lot of people. My son's 4th grade class had a field trip to the Science Museum yesterday. I was asked to chaperone by his teacher. Sure. My nephew Alex is in the other 4th grade class, and he has ASD. He does require a shadow, and unfortunately, the shadow couldn't come because he was ill. I'm sure it was no coincidence that Alex was put in the group that I was chaperoning. I didn't mind. Most of the time, the class stayed together. We saw an interactive exhibit/film on Pompeii that was more like a Disneyland ride. Alex freaked out at the noise and smoke machine and was trying to hide behind the curtains. Finally, I got him and had him sit on my lap until it was done. From that point on, he was quite clingy, and I let him wrap his arms around me from the back. When we got back together, another teacher, neither my son's nor Alex's teacher, approached me and said I shouldn't be affectionate with the students. This teacher was on the field trip too. I said I was his uncle and I wasn't being affectionate. I was calming him down. She said that it was still affectionate and not to do it. I told her to go take a hike, and if she has an issue with it, then complain to my brother and his wife or whoever. And just to spite her, I gave Alex a big old uncle hug in front of her before I left. This morning, I put him in a little headlock in front of her, and she pretended not to see it. I could tell my brother and sister-in-law, and they'd go nuclear on her, but I'm not an idiot. Not only are you not the idiot, but I would escalate this to the administration. He has a neurological disorder, and you were helping him. You weren't being affectionate or anything. That teacher has issues. Plus, they're literally what? Kids? Who cares if you did hug him? Come on, you're his uncle. You are the idiot. Not for the affectionate care for your nephew, that was appropriate, but for how you handled the interaction with the teacher. Teachers are given extensive training about appropriate interactions in school. A teacher being vigilant of this is doing their jobs and should not be reprimanded by you or anyone else for being cautious. This could have been an opportunity for you to help educate them about support for autistic children, which could help Alex and other kids down the line. Instead, their takeaway is going to be a negative interaction with an idiot parent. Disagree. Why didn't she receive training for kids with autism? Why didn't she know who was responsible for this certain kid on the trip? Before I go on a field trip, I know who has special needs, significant allergies, and things like that. I also know which parents come along. I ask colleagues if I need clarification if they're from my class. If this teacher was responsible for everything that happened to the kid, why was she not taking care of him during his meltdown? Oh, right, because the school literally assigned that duty to OP.